Hi, I'm Stephanie Toman and I run the ICDL program. You may have done some of these videos with me before, and we're covering the advanced word processing, the A332 This series of videos is going to cover referencing, which is quite a big area. If we look at this slide here, you can see that we've got references in the manual. Is going to be on section 6. I'm going to cover things like footnotes and endnotes, some putting automated features in like tables of contents, table of figures and indexes, and we're going to look at some index referencing and things like that. So, and a bit of bibliography as well with citations. So quite a lot to cover. So we're going to get started. So if we just minimize that, make sure that you have the lecture materials from Aula and make sure they're not something else, so they work. You should see a week 3 section 6, and if you open up, we'll have a look at these after, if you open up the references folder, these are some of the areas that we're going to cover. Okay, so we're going to start with opening up footnotes and endnotes and citations. We're going to cover that area there. Okay, on each of the documents that I use, I am putting footnotes, sort of like a blurb about footnotes, like it is here, as a formal way of documenting sources for quotations and about them being automatic, etc. So I'm going to demonstrate them together, the sort of ways that the syllabus and the exam would be expecting you to use them. So if we put a footnote onto the word to, go to the References tab, and all of your footnote features are all in this little group here. So to insert a footnote, click on the insert footnote, and then you could type something in. Notice it's come up with a footnote A. All right, go to the Kings. Let's put in another footnote. Click on there. It's now got a B next to the Kings, and down here, I'm going to type something else in. And then let's put one after mask as well. Insert footnote. So insert footnotes is one of the features you may be asked to use in the syllabus and the exam. Another thing is that it may be asked you to change these footnotes, the formatting of them. So in order to do that, if you right click on them and you go to the notes options. So note options is also available here. So you can get the same place using a little launcher there. And there's your note, these are your note options. And this is another way of changing them. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the right click, note options, see what I mean, exactly the same, and drop these down, and we're going to change them to a 1, 2, 3 format to the whole document. If you find you click insert, it'll put in another one. You need to make sure that you apply, and then you can see they've changed, and they've also changed in the document. If you delete this, it won't let you. You try and delete it. What you have to do is you have to delete the little reference number there to take the reference out, the footnote out. So that's how you delete the footnote. If you want to convert a footnote to an endnote, then if we go for mask number 2 and this one, just right click on the 2 and we convert to endnote, it's gone now to the end of the document. So endnotes are on the end of the document and footnotes are on the page they are connected to. Okay, so we've done a few things there. We've inserted a footnote, we converted a footnote to an endnote, and we've removed a reference footnote, and we've still got one left. We converted the formatting from a capital A, B, C to 1, 2, 3. Okay. Other areas that you could be asked in the exam is the citation area here. So you've got your citations in there. If you add a new source, if you pick up that one, this is where you add citations that you want to include in your document. So you've got lots of information here. Now, they don't really do this in the exam, but I have put some in. So if I go to manage citations, there's a few in there that I've added, and they're just made up ones that I put in, and I've just pop them in here, and they're the ones that you will see dropping down here. So if we were going to do, as you've done here, I'm going to come down. If I wanted to put some citations into my document, let's put one there. So that's how you drop them in, depending on what you want to cite. They might ask you to do that in the exam. And then also they may ask you to create a bibliography. So in order to do this, just delete that. Let's do one at the end here. You go into bibliography, insert one, and there you go. And you've got different styles of bibliography as well. Got Harvard, Chicago APA is what we're using. Okay, so that's the citations that you're going to drop into your document, you're quoting, author. There's probably a lot more to it, as you know, when you go into the actual managing them. If we double click on this one, if we edit, you can see you can put a lot more information in them. So for the exam syllabus, it's about popping them in or putting a bibliography style, dropping it into the document, no more than that. Okay. If we just come back to here again, into our files, we're going to open up next the table of contents. So table of contents, the whole point is that we can drop a table of contents in automatically. It's one of the automatic features. We go on to the references, there's lots more. So here's our table of contents here. And we always use the customized table of contents, not the set templates. Okay, so if you hover on there again, you can see it tells you what it does. So as long as you use styles and everything in your document, if we bring up the styles on the Home tab, you can see that that's a style, that's a style, okay, and that's a style. So we've got styles in our document, which is what's needed when you're going to use an automated table of contents. And you can see here, we can even do it with indexes, cross-references and captions too. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter a line. Let's go bring that down. We're going to pop our table of contents here, align it to the right, bring it down a little bit more, maybe a little bit less space there. So this is where we're going to insert it. So I'll tell you in the exam where they want you to insert it. Then you're going to go into the references, drop that down and go to the custom table of contents. Brings up your dialog box where you can set it up accordingly. So the test question will ask you to do certain things. It normally asks you to choose leader, tab leader dots of your choice. It wants you to change the format, and sometimes it will talk about the levels. Always do the tab leader dots last, because if you change the format, your tab leaders can sometimes disappear because they don't have them built in. So it might be show 4 levels, classic, and tab leaders I want like that. And you can see the example of what it's going to look like then, okay? And then what happens is it drops it in automatically. And you can see that if you do a control and a click, it will take you to the introduction, and page 3 on there, control and click takes you to there. So they're great features and they're little hyperlinks. So they're all done automatically. The other thing it may ask you in the exam is to move something and then update the table of contents. So if we moved this onto the second page, the control and enter in front of history at the top of it, it's now on page 2, whereas our table of contents still has it on page 1. So if you right click and update the field, it will say to you in the exam if it wants it entire. In this case, it's just the page numbering. So we can use the update page numbering only, okay? And you can see that it now has automatically changed everything to meet that. If you made a change to some of the formatting though, that's when you might be asked to use the entire. So if I change these headings, let's highlight the first one, go into my home and my styles again, and it's this one here. If I drop that down, I can pick up all instances. Do you remember select all instances? We had this in our styles demo, if you did watch it. So I picked them all up and I'm going to modify them all. And I'm going to put numbers on them. So if I go through my format button onto the numbering, and I'm going to put a 1, 2, 3 format in front of them, okay, and you can see this is how they look, and okay. So they've all changed, but the table of contents hasn't. So if I update the field and do the entire, okay, then they will change. Another reason for using the entire is if you change the type of style, it would have to be done that way as well. So with regard to table of contents, and it comes up in the exam, it's about inserting it in a particular place, and then you may need to make some changes to it and update accordingly. So quite straightforward. And close that one. I'm going to move on to the third one, bookmarks. So bookmark can be assigned to a bit of text, a graphic, and it allows you to jump around quite a large document quite easily using these links. If you go into the Insert tab, you can see the bookmark feature there. So if we click on that, I've actually got some bookmarks I've included into my document. I've added them in. First of all, let's see what they do. So we've got conclusion. Let's click on our go to, and it jumps to our conclusion heading. Senses jumps to our senses heading, and our sharp pick jumps to our picture chart. So it's quite useful for big documents to get around if you want to find particular things. Let's delete these, and then I'll show you how to create them. So that's how you delete them in an exam. You click on them and delete them and close if they ask you to. If they ask you to create some, let's go through and do our sharp pick first. Click on it, bookmark. Okay, call it what you're going to call it. I'm going to call it a sharp underscore pick because you can't use spaces between words, and add. Then I'm going to go down to my senses heading, bookmark, and I'm going to call it senses. So it overwrites the previous thing. And then I go down to my conclusion and do one for there as well. And add. If I had something that had more than one word, body form, I have to make sure that I highlight the whole thing and then put body form in with an underscore or something like that. You can't just click at the front of it or just the one word when you bookmark. It has to be particularly what they state. Okay, so just be aware of that. Then you can go to the bookmark and you can go to, and they work quite well, as you can see. And if they ask you to delete one, click on it and delete it from the group. And okay, so that's bookmarks covered. It's quite straightforward. The thing that goes with bookmarks are cross-referencing, so it takes it another step further. So if we open up cross-referencing number 4, and I've got an example here of a few different things. I'm going to just bring it down slightly. This number here is a field, hyperlink field, and it jumps to the page number of where the bookmark is, so it does it automatically. So if we look at the bookmarks, let's have a look at insert, and in here we've got some bookmarks set up, so that's what it's jumping to. So they've obviously got to be in there in the first place. So you can have a cross-reference that control and clicks straight to there, but it automatically puts in things like page numbers. You can see it up here, creating references to items, headings, bookmarks, captions, and it can give you the page number, the heading text, the bookmark text. There's lots of features. There's 2 areas. Let's look at the first one. Let's delete that one. We're looking for bookmark and page number, so let's delete it. Leave a space there where we're going to insert it, and right below bookmarks on the insert tab there's a cross-referencing feature. So when we're looking at this in the exam, we're looking at for a reference type, and we're looking at to insert the reference to. So it's going to be in the question. So this one, it wants the first one, we're looking for a bookmark, and we were looking for a bookmark page number, and it's going to Elizabeth. So that's what we were doing when we inserted it. So that's the way the question would be. You look at the question, look at what it's referring, what the reference type is, what it's referring to, and then make sure you selected it correctly there. So if I click on insert now and close, if I hover on it and use control and click, it clicks to the area where Elizabeth is. Okay. The second one is about a numbered item and paragraph number. So let's delete that. And let's do that one. So into cross-reference, we need a numbered item. So we scroll down till we find that. There it is, numbered item. It's on 1 last time, but we could have it on 2. So we're going to do paragraph number, and click on 2, insert and close. And if we put the second one in, control, click, oops. And there you go. Okay, back up to the top. The final one is quite typical, this one here, of an exam question. And what they want you to do is replace what would have been before a normal heading with a hyperlinked heading and heading text. So to put the text of the heading in, but make it hyperlinked. So we delete that out. We make sure we've got a space. So in the exam, you might see this sort of scenario where you've actually got a gap and they ask you to place it between the Pets Corner heading and the tea room heading. And they might even say on what page, on page 1. So you place your cursor first into cross-referencing. And what we're asking for this time is a heading, and heading text has gone automatic. Then you look for the heading that it's replacing with a hyperlink. There's your insert hyperlink, not mentioned it before. Sometimes they talk about with an inserted hyperlink, but it's on there by default. And then click on insert and close. And now control and click, you will jump to that heading. So it seems a bit tricky, I know, but it's not. It's just keeping your head looking at the question. When it talks about cross references, then you know that you're talking about this feature here. Okay, so place your cursor correctly and then do what they ask you to do. Okay, right, the final bit on captions. So we're going to look at the breakdown first, number 5, because captions are not always clear to people what's going on. I'll just bring it down. Okay, so captions are made up of 3 parts, particularly in this exam. You've got your label, you've got your numbering, and you've got whatever text you may want to use. In the exam, they will talk about being automatically updated. So you can see there at the top, in what order would you set these so that it was automatically updated? So when they ask you to do something that's captioned to make it automatically updated, it always sort of comes at the end of the question. So it's actually the first thing you need to do. So if we bring this over, we're actually going to do this one first. Then we do the label, then we do the numbering, and then we do the text. Okay, in that order. So how do we do an automatic update? We use this button and we have to tick the appropriate auto caption feature and then do it. So let's do that together. So I'm just going to close this. Okay, so let's open up number 6, captions, table of figures, marking index. Quite a big area, this one. So starting with the inserting captions, I'm just going to put that so that we can see it as straightforward there. Okay, so captions used to briefly describe objects, graphs, images, tables, etc. But they can also be set up to be automatically applied, which is what we're going to be looking at as part of our syllabus and part of our exam. And it's useful as well when you're doing your dissertations, definitely. You don't need to do each one separately. Okay, so once it's been created, you can go on then to put in table of tables, table of figures, and also after that we're going to look at some indexing for when you write your books and become famous and dedicate them to me. I wish, but there you go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is all the way down to the bottom of the document, we're going to look at this table area right at the very end of the document. Okay, on page 4. So what's happening here is if I right click and go into insert caption on the first table 1, we've got table 2, lower Roman numerals. Let's have a look and see what our auto captions say. And remember, this is the area that we use to automatically update. If we go down to the tables area, it's not ticked. Okay, so we've got table 1 there. Let's delete this table. Okay, so we're going to make this automatically update when we do another table. So we're going into insert caption. First thing we do, auto caption before anything else. Make sure it's ticked on. It is, but pop it on if it isn't. We've got table and we can OK that. It throws us out, but then we can go back in and actually complete it by doing table 1. We know it's automatic and we can put in our text as instructed. OK, then that's applied. So then if I go and do another table and decide to put that one in, that becomes table 2, and it doesn't have automatic text. So some things have text, some things don't, and that's why there's 3 separate areas. Also, if we're going to put in a new label, so let's say I've popped in another one here, and I'm going to change that to an image. So if I right click on this one, insert caption, and I want to change it to an image and I haven't got the label, if I say new label and I type in image, I don't put the numbering in with this. In the exam, sometimes they'll ask you to do an image 1 and then give you some text. A lot of people would put the 1 in like that, okay, and then you can see you get this double 1. So you need to make sure, let's delete that, that when you do a new label, you just put in the part label that's that part, and the numbering is the area that comes next, and then you might have some text. Okay, so that's a different bit, so be careful that you keep those 3 things separate. Then when you do these extra captions we've got here, you can update your table of figures, table of tables in this case, and it will take those on board, the automated ones that I've already put in. To put this in, let's delete that. I've gone to the References tab, Insert Table of Figures, made sure that it's on Table. Notice our image is in there then. And whatever I want to do it as, OK, and there it is, it's in there. Okay. So we've got one bin popped in here as well with regard to the figures. So let's look at, we've looked at tables and automatic updating. Let's have a look at the actual figures. So we've got our first one is A, starting on page 3. I'm going to go to the one before it. I'm going to insert a caption on this one. So I've got image A, so I want it on figure. I want it on numbering A, B, C. But have I got it on automatic caption? I really should have looked at that first, shouldn't I? So if I go up and have a look, it's actually not on. It needs to be on an image, and it's not. It's on a table. So if I take that off, unfortunately, the only worst thing that's going to happen is I'll lose my setting up. That's all. So I put it on an image. I've still got my figure, so I'm OK. I seems happy with that. Let's go back in now and apply everything, make sure it's correct. I lost my figure, went back to image, back to figure. It's on, stayed on AB, and then I could put tower or whatever I've been instructed. OK. So you can see that that now is A, and that changes to B. That was previously A. So that's a beauty of automated caption. And then when I update this, it brings in automatically. Let's try the entire. And then it brings in the tower one that I've just created. So you can see the difference. Okay, so that's the beauty of it, is things will continuously update. And you can have a practice by doing this one as well. Do insert caption. It's on figure A. The numbering's I'm quite happy with that. OK, and then these change, and then what you can do is you can update entire again, and it's included. One more area within the captions is to actually change the formatting of a caption numbering. So you can see that if you click on figure, it's not a field. Click on the A, it is a field. Okay, so it might be just the caption numbering area, particularly there, that it wants you to edit. If you right click on that and go to edit field, then in the options button, it's the only one really available to you. Go in there and you have to, if you ask to change it, let's say it's changing to a lower Roman numeral, you select it, but you must remember to add to field. It has to go onto the end of the string here. That's the most common thing that people miss in the exam. So you click on there, you can see it's been incorporated, OK, and OK. And that one there has changed, but the rest haven't. And then let's go right up to the top, update, entire. There it is there. Okay. So you can do new labels, you can do original labels, but the first thing you've got to do, remember, is to set it up for automatically updating. If it doesn't say to have it automatically updated in the test, you don't need to. You can just get straight in there and do whatever you need to do. So that's the caption area. Okay, so the other area of the syllabus in the referencing section is to do with indexing. So it's marking words to go into, you see at the back of a book and shows the page number, where to find it, different things selecting, and cross-referencing through that as well. So if we look at the referencing area here in the tab, you've got your insert and index, which we can do with marks and words. And then you've got this feature mark entry. So mark entry is marking those words to go into that index. If we go up to the rest of the document, let's go up and start with house. So if we mark this, we highlight it, mark index entry. It has a main entry, a sub-entry, and also you could be asked to use the cross-referencing here. So if we've got a main entry house, let's just leave it as that and mark. And you can close and you see you get this coding, toggle coding coming after it. If we mark gardens, let's highlight that, mark entry. Let's do gardens for main entry, and let's do grass, silly things just to make us think, for sub-entry. And they would tell us exactly what they wanted us to do in the exam. If we had tower, let's mark that on page 2. So mark entry could be tower, could be spire, and we can have cross-referencing steeple, like that. So you would click in there, leave the C in there, don't delete it, and then mark and close. So those things we've marked, we can see them because when we mark something, the show and hide on the home tab automatically comes on. Take it off, you can't see them. Okay, so be aware of that. We're going to pop the index into the end of the document. So all the way down into the heading, index, place your cursor, back into References tab and insert index. Like we had before, we can have particular templates. We'll do a classic, and maybe fancy. I might be able to do some tab marks. Fancy is quite nice, actually. Let's do that. I have 2 columns. Okay, and there's our index of those things we've just marked. Okay, spite. I think that's supposed to be a spire, but never mind. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side of the coin. In the exam, it may ask us to remove something from an index. So let's take our show and hide off and see how an exam question would start. So they might say to you, using the house, remove the word house from the index. We know we've got house in the index here, and it wants us to remove it. So instead of just going along here and deleting it there, that won't work. You have to go to the marking up where you marked it. So remember, show and hide to show you where it is. Pick it up, including its curly brackets, but not the paragraph mark. And then click the delete button. Then you go down to your index, and just like we've done before, everything's automated. We do a right click and update field and watch to see the house disappear. So remember to put them in, you mark them accordingly with a main entry. They can have a main entry, a sub-entry, or a cross-reference. And then to remove them, you need to go and remove the markup, curly brackets included, the code, and then update the index to reflect that. Okay, so automatic features are always updated to reflect the changes you've made in the document itself. Okay, so that's the end of the references bit. I'm not going to say this, just a couple little things I want to add while you're doing references. So if we come back out again to the main area, you've got this bibliography here. So this is something that you can have a little play with for the citations. You can have a look at it and you can see how you do all the different sources. There's just a little bit of information on that, and then you can have a go at it. The multi-levels list, I just want to show you something that's quite quick for your dissertations. If you don't want to get into styles, etc., too much, and you're a bit worried or you're late, running late on things, as we do with dissertations, you can just apply these automatic multi-level list headings. So if you do Control and A, if you do this and you apply the headings one, this is this one here, I'm going towards, you click on there, they all automatically take on the headings. You can see they're all heading 1. And then you can use your tabbing to change them to different heading sub-levels, etc. Okay, so you can change that, you can modify. Remember, when you do the styles, if you base it on these, you can modify that to be, you could change that to black, and you can update that to match the heading, or you can do it the other way around, where you modify the heading and make them all black. So if I drop that down and I've got a few heading in, you can see all the black that's created apart from these. So you can use that, it's quite useful, and I've done a quick one below just where I've worked it, just to see the sorts of things that you can do. And then that way you can then put in your automatic table of contents. And so you can see how something might look. Okay, so it's a really quick way of using features to help you when it comes to speeding up your dissertations. Okay, I'm going to leave that section and I'm going to go on to do the weekly revision that goes with section 6 referencing, and I'll do that next. Okay, thank you.